it's so hot. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Molly and I mainly do mental health videos here on this channel, but sometimes I do lifestyle instead. And today I am going to be talking about antidepressants and weight gain. Also, I don't know if you can see there. Yep. That's what happens when the UK have a heat wave and you go out without sunscreen on. So today I wanted to talk about my experience with antidepressants and specifically weight gain attached to antidepressants. I know it is a talked about subject, it's something that I've got experience in and I wanted to discuss it. The main medication I'm going to be talking about is Mirtazapine, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it. I have been on this multiple times, and then I'm also going to talk about Venlafaxine. I am not a medical professional, I am not trained in any medicine of any kind, so these are just my experiences and my opinions based off my experiences. Please, if you are considering either taking antidepressants or stopping taking antidepressants, please speak to your doctor, because just taking yourself off medication that you've been on for a while can have really bad side effects. If you're experiencing side effects, it can be easy just to want to stop taking them, but honestly, just taper off, because I have done that. I have just completely cut off medication before and it didn't go well. It did not go well. Now, I began taking Venlafaxine around about 18 months ago. It might be slightly longer. Now, I had been on multiple other antidepressants in the past and I didn't get on with them for specific reasons. Some of them because they just didn't do anything, and others because of side effects. Everybody's different. Some people might take Venlafaxine and it might not do anything, or it might make them feel worse. Other people might take it and it really does work. Honestly, everybody is different, so please remember any opinions that you do read online, and I know you'll find a lot of them, and often the ones that you find online are negative, because that is the main reason people go to the internet to unfortunately talk about things. It's normally when it's negative and not necessarily when it's a positive experience. So please don't be put off by reviews that you've read online in relation to any type of medication just based off somebody else's experience. Always speak to your doctor first. But yeah, I have been on Venlafaxine for around 18 months. What I wish I knew, and what I'm telling you now, is antidepressants take time and they have to be taken consistently. Now, if you are starting on a new medication and you are going to expect to feel better day 1, day 2, even 2 weeks down the line, it's just not going to happen, especially if you are very, very ill, or you're very depressed, or you've got really strong symptoms. It's normally around 4 to 6 weeks that you might start to see an improvement. I get on with Venlafaxine. It is the first medication that in my life of taking medications and trying medications that really did make such a massive difference. I really badly relapsed in my mental health. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to get out of bed. My anxiety was impossible to control. My OCD, I'd allowed it to just get complete control of my whole life. I had started self-harm again, which is something that I hadn't struggled with for a very long time, and I did reach out for help. Luckily I've got a very supportive partner and some family, and my doctor this time was absolutely amazing, and after a couple of trials on other medications, she gave me Venlafaxine and it's been great. And I would say that the only side effect really with Venlafaxine was initially there was some restless legs, but that's something I suffer with anyway. And also there was a slight queasy, sicky feeling when I was first started on them, and then when I increased my dosage, but that did just wear off. And also headaches, but I suffer from migraines, so anything new that I take tend to kick off migraines or headaches anyway, doesn't matter what it is. So that was something I would expect, and it did just disappear after about a week or two. So that's venlafaxine. Now, as much as they were helping and massively helping, there was still issues there. I was still struggling and I still just needed that bit of extra support. So along with going to therapy, my doctor asked me to go back on Mirtazapine. The reason I say back, because I've probably been on Mirtazapine for four occasions, like 4 different time periods. Now, I know that if you are somebody who has been told that they could go on Mirtazapine, or if they wanted to go on Mirtazapine, you might have gone straight to the internet like I did and seen the amount of reviews, complaints online about weight gain from Mirtazapine. Now, just trigger warning, I will be discussing issues around weight gain, and if you are somebody that thinks that you might get a bit triggered by that, maybe this isn't the video for you, but I will try and be as triggerless as possible in my explanation. So I'm not going to show any pictures or anything like that, and comparisons, nothing like that. So I have struggled with eating and body image for as long as I can remember, but gaining weight, any kind of weight, any changes in my body is a massive trigger for me. Being honest, I didn't have the best diet. So I would do a lot of restriction. I would say I wasn't really hungry, but I think it was because I'd spent so long not eating that much and eating such small portions that my stomach was not necessarily giving me the signs that I was hungry. When I started taking Mirtazapine, it makes you hungry. Now, because I was so used to not being hungry, the initial being so hungry, because it's not like a normal hunger, it is an intense I need to eat, and that scared me initially, which is the reason why I first just completely stopped taking them, wouldn't take them. The next time I was really getting to the point where I was like, I need to try something, I need to try anything, I feel this bad, I can't continue to feel this bad every day. So I agreed to try them again. Now, they did improve my mental health, however, I started to gain weight. Now, when I'm talking about gaining weight, I want people to understand it's not that I took this medication, was eating exactly the same, exercising exactly the same, and gain weight. I was eating more than I normally would have been. I was eating the amount that a normal person would eat. I didn't eat as a normal person. I didn't eat the amount a normal person should. And once I started taking Mirtazapine, I started eating like an average person. Obviously, everybody's different, how much food they need and nutrients, but I started to eat more than I was before. Now, if you are eating more, even if you're doing the same exercise and you are doing the same things that you do all the time, you're going to gain weight. Sometimes when you are ill, you don't necessarily eat the best, you don't necessarily eat enough, and I definitely fall into that bracket. And so of course I was going to put weight on because I started eating an amount that I should have been eating, but that terrified me. And because I was so undernourished, the weight did build quite quickly. I started putting weight on and just stopped taking them, and I lost the weight straight away. What happened though, because as I was saying before, because I've been taking them for a period of time and I just stopped, my appetite went completely. So I was not hungry at all. Just completely cut myself off, made my appetite go. And it was months. It wasn't just a couple of days and then it had gone back to normal. It was months, and I lost all the weight I gained and probably a bit more weight. And I was then underweight again. Then we come back, rounding it back to 18 months, 2 years ago, when I had that really massive decline in health, and I went to the doctor, and I remember saying, I remember saying to her, I'd had enough. I remember just saying to her, I'm done now, I've had enough. I've put up with this my entire life. It's never going to get any better. So she said that she was going to do everything she could to help me, which she really did. But I needed to be willing to also do everything that I could to help me. And that when you're in that state, in such a bad place, it can be difficult to even, the thought of having to do anything is hard. But I was at the point where I was like, okay, if you are really willing to help me, then I'll try anything. So then came a couple of trials of other medications. They didn't work. Then the venlafaxine, things started getting better, but there was still a lot of issues. Then she asked me to go back on the Mirtazapine. And I think it was that point, because of how unwell I'd been, because of how many times I'd been in this situation, I was like, okay, I'll give them a go, because I'd refused so many times to have them put back into my prescription. So I agreed. Now, I'm not going to lie and say it's been easy, and I'm not going to lie and say I didn't put weight on. So I have put weight on, and it has been hard. Some days are easier than others. Because I was underweight, to me it is so obvious, but I need to learn that my eating disorder thoughts are not real. It's not reality. People are too busy living their lives and have their own worries to be thinking, God, how much weight is she put on? And in reality, even if they did think that, it doesn't matter what some person thinks about the amount of weight that I've put on if I'm happy. But it's just something in the back of my mind that I need to try and just, and it's a work in progress. If you've seen my Boohoo haul, you'll have seen that I'd bought some clothes and not all of them fitted, and it was difficult. I struggled, and I'm going to be honest, I did struggle. But would I say that I wouldn't recommend taking the Mirtazapine? No, because the Mirtazapine has helped me sleep. It has helped me get a regular sleeping pattern. So I take the venlafaxine in the morning, and then I take the Mirtazapine of a night. Now, when I first was on the Mirtazapine, I was on quite a high dose. It might have even been the highest dose. Now I'm only on the lowest dose. I just realised that box is venlafaxine, because I take the two, but the Mirtazapine box in it doesn't matter. And what is it here? So the Mirtazapine, it has helped me sleep. I have got a regular sleeping pattern. I can take the tablet half an hour before bed and put my podcast on, and I will drift off eventually. Obviously, it's never an instant sleep with me. It never has been, but I'm no longer spending hours and hours and hours lying in bed unable to fall asleep. It gives me an appetite. I enjoy food, and I'm working on getting rid of the guilt for enjoying food, but I do enjoy the food I'm eating. And a lot of people tell me that I look healthier, I look a lot better, I look well. Now, I am an advocate for not mentioning when people have gained weight, even in a positive way, just because if somebody's in recovery, it can be very triggering. But I do understand where the sentiment is coming from, and I do think that I do probably look better. Is it still a struggle, and do I find it hard looking at myself at the minute? Yes, but the difference this time is I don't want to go back to where I was 2 years ago. And what used to happen was that the guilt of putting the weight on would then start to adversely affect my mental health. So the Mirtazapine would be helping to a certain point. I'd start gaining weight. My mental health would drop drastically because of the weight gain, and then I just didn't see the point in taking it. But I think with taking the venlafaxine and the Mirtazapine, that's been really helping. And as much as I'm struggling with the weight gain, it's fine.
Gosh, Ross, you know, you seem a little,
What? Fine? Because I am. Huh? Aren't you? Aren't you? Who else is fine?
It doesn't matter, and I know that. Your health and your mental health especially is so much more important. But if you are somebody who suffers with an eating disorder, or you are somebody who struggles with weight, I completely understand if it's not a medication that you want to take. I do think it's an open conversation that you need to have with your doctor. If you are offered Mirtazapine or Pine and you think that that medication, taking that, will make you feel worse because of the weight gain, you're allowed to say that, and you're allowed to ask for an alternative and to try an alternative. No medication can be forced upon you. And if you have an open conversation with your doctor and you explain, I really struggle, I know that weight gain is something that comes along with Mirtazapine, I don't think I can do that, or I don't think I'm ready for it. Have that conversation. You can't be forced to take a medication you don't want. I know from personal experience that I was adamant I wasn't taking it, and my doctor explained the positives, but she did say, no, I think it's a good idea we don't put you on it, because we know how the weight gain was difficult for you, how it makes you feel. If you can't have that open conversation with the doctor that you have, request a new doctor or move doctors, because it is so important, especially with mental health and anything relating to treatment that you're receiving, that the person that you're speaking to you trust, or are at least able enough, or at least you feel able to discuss how you really feel and your true worries and concerns. There's nothing worse than going and seeing a doctor who you are too scared to say no or disagree with or be honest and open, because you're never going to get the appropriate help that you need. So in terms of Mirtazapine side effects, they do make you drowsy, so I wouldn't recommend taking them in the morning. Normally the doctor will advise you of that. I would say that the only real side effect, apart from the weight gain, but again, I think it's more making you hungry, not actually physically you take the tablet and then you just put weight on. So I think that's what a lot of people neglect to mention online. It does make you hungry, and a lot of people think that it's a magic tablet that makes you starving. But please remember that people who have been limiting food, generally as they feel better, will start to feel more hungry as well. It's not necessarily just the tablet that's making you starving, if that makes sense. And yeah, and the other one is drowsiness. So if you go to bed, sometimes I wake up quite a lot to go to the toilet in the night, and when you go to the toilet, because it's in your system still, I do tend to it's kind of like that drunk feeling, but not where you don't know what you're doing, just in terms of like a bit, ooh, you know what I mean, just a bit like everything's slightly like this, but you're still there in your mind. And I would definitely recommend starting at a low dose and building up, but I don't have issue feeling tired the next day when I wake up. Maybe for the initial couple of days there was that grogginess when I first woke up, but that went, and I actually find it easier getting up now than I used to, because I'm having more of a sleep because of the Mirtazapine, if that makes sense. Now obviously, like I said before, this won't be everybody's experience, this is just my personal experience. If you do want me to go in detail any more about any of the topics that I've touched on, please do, just let me know. And if you have had any different experiences with either of the medications I've talked about, then just leave them in the comments down below. And if you've got any suggestions, again, leave them in the comments or get in touch with me on my social media that I'll leave here. I will always answer anybody on there that wants to send me a message. I do a lot of mental health talk over there as well. So yeah, that's everything that I wanted to discuss today. I'll link the Boohoo haul here that I mentioned before if you're interested. And if you did like this video, I'd love it if you could give it a thumbs up, because it really does help the channel. And I would love if you could subscribe and join the family that I'm building here. And wherever that you are, I hope that you have a lovely morning, day or night, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!